Welcome to the first ever Jackson Hour. Jackson Hour has a legendary meaning to my friend group, Dalton included. We have had these conversations with each other since we were like in third grade. And I mentioned this to Dalton about, I don't know, a year and a half ago. I was like, we should bring back the Jackson Hour. Granted, back in the day, we talked about girls, we talked about different things.
Puberty.
Yeah, puberty. What kids will talk about, things of that nature. This time around, we're adults, and I think it's more meaningful to have a conversation, get more in depth on a person, what they like. We'll still talk about sports. We'll still talk about what's happening in the media, things of that nature, but it's going to be more so of a get to know somebody more in depth and ask them a few questions. So tonight's first episode, you guys know Dalton and I have been friends since we were in third grade, so I'm bringing on Dalton Holland. Everyone knows who Dalton Holland is, mastermind behind 302 Birds. So just want to bring him on and kind of talk to him and get to know him more in depth. So Dalton, how you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm good. Thank you for having me here. I mean, I'm honored to be your first ever guest on the first ever Jackson Hour. I would say, in a way, it's the first ever Jackson Hour, but it's not the first ever Jackson Hour. It's just the first one that we're actually recording and documenting. But I mean, it's awesome to be here. It's great that we're doing this again. It's awesome that you're going to have this platform. You're going to be able to interview people local to the area, local to Delaware. The mayor of Delaware himself, Jack Doordan, will be able to, invite people into our studio in Newark and kind of just talk with them about things that make them great. But dude, I'm excited to be here and cut it up with you.
Yeah, I'm excited for this ride. I think we're going to blow up with this, even though we're blowing up on 302 Birds. But I think this little branch off of 302 Birds podcast, I think it's going to be something that more and more people, whether or not they like sports or not, they can get more in depth who we are as people, what we like, who we are as individuals, and so on and so forth. So for tonight's first topic, it's going to be an interview with Dalton. I mean, I know everything about Dalton, but just for the viewers out there, just to get to know him more and see who Dalton is a person, not a guy on 302 podcast. So I think it was a great opportunity to do this because not many people know the personality Dalton Holland is. So ask a few questions. It's not going to be too long, but so Dalton, now being a homeowner, what is your biggest, not regret, your biggest issue or biggest thing that you have to worry about?
Everything is a good answer. But I would say when you get one thing done, usually most of the time it's good for a little bit. So you can be like, okay, I just fixed that, or I just bought that, so it should be good for a while. But the thing that I'll say is the biggest hassle or the most annoying is probably changing air filters, because I have ADHD, so I'm always doing stuff at once, and I sometimes forget to change them. I'm not going to sit here and act like I don't. So sometimes I'll go like 4 months, 5 months without changing an air filter when you should change them every 3 months, every 90 days, really, not even 3 months. But yeah, little things like that. But I will say it's great too, because you have your freedom, you have your space, and you're able to explore other stuff too, like being able to build a studio there where you don't got to pay anybody rent. That's a major plus. So that's one of the pluses.
That's good to hear. I mean, I know, I live with Josh Zepp now, and he was one of the first ever of our buddies to buy a house, and I kind of see it firsthand what he has to deal with on the daily, and it's definitely a full-time job after your job at work. Got to come home, make sure everything's running right. So it's definitely a big commitment to get a house. So, yeah, I mean, I think eventually, you've been here now, what, 2 years?
Yeah, it'll be 2 years in April. So in about a month, yeah, it'll be 2 years, which is crazy to think about. Time flies, especially when you're having a good time. But I love it. I love being in Delaware. When my family, being from Jersey, my whole family was from Jersey, even though I was born in Maryland. Technically, I was born in Maryland. I lived my first 3 years in Maryland, and then when I was 3 to 10, I lived in Jersey. So all my cognitive thinking, stuff like that occurred in New Jersey. And then when I was 10, my family for business was like, all right, we're moving to Maryland, which they were moving to Elkton, which people don't really tell you is basically Delaware, because it's right outside of Newark, Delaware. Kennett Square too. It's a really good tri-state area of where you're just able to blend a lot of stuff. But yeah, the biggest thing for me that I like about Delaware is it's in between all of those states. So if I want a cheesesteak, I can go get one. If I want a pizza, I can go. Shout out to Nick's, the sponsor of this. I don't have to go very far.
Right.
But if I want to go, to the Jersey Shore, if I want to slice a mango and mango or something like that, and variety and mix it up, that's the nice part about Delaware is you're in between a lot of places. But now that also what's cool too is spots like Nick's didn't exist years ago, or at least not to my knowledge. Now that Nick's exists, it's awesome because I don't have to go far. I can enjoy like a great slice locally. And I think it's just making Delaware even more of a valuable area because it's like, man, now it's a great area to live. It's affordable and you got great food. It's game over.
For sure. No, I will agree with Dalton with that. I mean, I'm from Newark, Delaware, and like you said, it is a kind of central point to get to different like Jersey and Philly and things like that. Dalton, I know, I worked with you in the family business at your family's business, medical waste and hazardous waste. A lot of people know that you work for your family, but what exactly does your day job consist of before you come home and do the podcast?
Just a lot of sales, a lot of relationships, a lot of working with people through day-to-day stuff on what happens. I don't mean to sound like a wishy-washy answer, but when they go through their day job, just inevitably things happen and good or bad. And sometimes people want to praise you. Sometimes people need some help with stuff. Sometimes people have a question because they're not sure about a process. So all in all, you get hit with a lot of questions every day. And it's all about keeping like a positive. And, shout out to our sales manager, Aaron. He's awesome with that. But he's kind of shown you and me like, hey, come in with a positive attitude every day. Be happy, smile. And I think people like that can embody that have great personalities, that smile, that are just upbeat every day are the kind of people you want to work around. And props to that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely is a grind for sure. Like I said, I was in the industry with Dalton, and it definitely bites at you because constantly you're on the road or on the phone talking to people, and it's majority of the time it's a no. So just getting told to, pardon my French, practically fuck off all the time, it definitely eats at you for sure. So I can definitely agree on the struggles of being in that kind of industry. So it's definitely a grind. It's crazy that both you and I mean, we've been friends for so long, and I mean, I think we started becoming friends when we were in second grade, the summer going to third grade, but you disagree with me.
I didn't even know you then. I didn't know you until third grade. I really became friends with you third grade going into fourth grade. I definitely didn't know you in second grade because I didn't go to Mount Avion until third grade.
Yeah, but I thought you were members at the country club, and okay, well,
I wish.
Anyway, no, I more so not directed towards you, but it's just about our friendship. To me, it's kind of crazy because half the time if you go to a different college, granted, I got lucky to go to elementary school with you and then at high school, but we went to different colleges, so keeping those friends close is definitely a challenge. I think our friend group, our core friend group, have really done a good job at that because we haven't really grown apart from each other. So I think that's something that most people don't have. Maybe they have that one friend that they've been friends with their whole life. So I just wanted to say it's crazy that we're both 26 now and we still have this great friendship. We started a podcast together. So it just really is amazing the accomplishments we have done since, talking in your basement in Maryland when we were kids, talking about what girl in our class is so hot or what girl we want to go on a date with. So we've matured so well. So I really give props to you and to me that we have kept this friendship going.
Well, it's all about just relationships too, and like keeping like up with people. Like you and I think did a good job throughout college and making time to talk with each other or call each other or FaceTime each other. Josh, you, me, Ed, BG. I mean, I know BG and I went to the same college, so that made it easy because you guys could kill two birds with one stone with one FaceTime call. But like, I get it. Like Rap and Cole, same thing. Going to University of Delaware, especially being roommates, same thing.
Right.
But it's like when a lot of people graduate high school, you see, okay, they'll keep in contact with their friends for like a year or two. And then that's that. Like it's a wash.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really rare, especially nowadays, that you stick with people for so long. And it's like more like when we've been friends for so long now, I just feel like there's no like it's like you're kind of just like family with someone. You just like it's natural to just check in on them. You don't really think about it. And I'm grateful. Like, because what's funny is I talked about it with my mom. I don't know if I ever told you guys this when I was at Mount Olive. I was like, wow, I don't know if I would have found like the same friend group living in New Jersey. Like, I don't know if I would have found the same people like that. And it's cool to think about it that way.
Yeah, I mean, and then we get into more fun topics. I mean, this is fun, but people already know who we are.
Yeah, exactly.
But it goes to show just how mature we've became. You know, we were those annoying kids. I mean, I broke some pull out beds in your beach
Sorry,
house.
Don.
We threw peanut butter on the wall, things of that nature. So it really, we were good kids, but we were definitely immature kids. And now us, you know, holding down, making it through college, holding down, you know, 9-to-5 job. And I mean, I'm on my own now, even though I'm living with Josh, but you know, it just goes to show that, you know, we had fun when we were kids, and now it's the real shit. So this is where we got to become men. So just want to thank you, Dalton, for being here, for being in my life. And, you know, I look forward to many years of this 302 Birds podcast, and I really do appreciate you coming and getting this interview with me. Moving on, we'll talk about more fun topics that everyone wants to, you know, hear about. So last night, Dalton, I don't know if you saw it. I don't think you did, but the SmackDown Friday night was at Philadelphia yesterday, and they showed the Sixers players, and when they showed up on the Jumbotron, the whole stadium erupted in boo, and they booed the shit out of the Sixers. So what's your take on that, and why do you think the city of Philadelphia is doubting this team now?
I mean, imagine getting told the same thing again and again and again. What's the definition of insanity? McGowan used to say it to us at Sally. Shout out to McGowan. But it's doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. That's essentially what the Sixers have done every year. And they're just at a point now with their fans of where it's mentally exhausting to watch them. It's mentally exhausting to talk about them. It's mentally exhausting to purchase like tickets about them. So I'm honestly not shocked that they got booed at SmackDown. Anyone that's surprised by this or says this is normal for Philadelphia when your team isn't doing bad. So if anything, I say like I applaud Philly fans for making sure that they did this, because they should remind them like everything that the Sixers have done. Usually I would be hitting up one of our sponsors, shout out on, you know, the crystal ball of golf up here. But TickPick, they usually hook us up with a great amount of Sixers tickets. And this year, I haven't even approached them once because, number one, we got to go to a lot of Eagles games. Thank you to TickPick for that. If you guys haven't, check out the link below. Download the TickPick app today, the best place to buy your tickets with no fees. But I'd be reaching out saying, hey, I want to go to a game. And I have no motivation to go to a Sixers game whatsoever. I don't want to spend a dime on them. I don't want to watch them. I just couldn't care less.
Yeah, I mean, I told you guys last year on the show after the Sixers lost in the first round that I have no connection with the Sixers at all anymore, because we as a fan base have just been brutally failed, I guess, from the Sixers, because they haven't made it past the second round or even the first round since, you know, trust the process started. So I just have no faith in this team. I swore until I was in blue in my face that I think Paul George was the dumbest signing, because he's an all-star, but he's an old all-star now. So he's not really going to bring much to the table. And Joel Embiid just needs to get out of Philadelphia, because Joel Embiid, he's been in the league now for 7 years, 9 years, whatever it may be. It doesn't really matter. And he hasn't been healthy one season. His true rookie year, he was out on injury. And then his rookie/sophomore year, he was still on injury. So it just pisses me off because back when I was a little kid or early 2000s, the Sixers actually meant something to Philadelphia, whereas this team doesn't really mean much. So I applaud, the fans at SmackDown last night for booing them because they deserve every single thing. And it may be, Paul George said, I'm not podcasting the rest of my life until our season turns around. Too late, buddy. I mean, this season's already a wash and there's not much recovering it. So it just goes to show that they don't really, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they care about the city anymore.
No, they don't. And it's evident to our fans. And I think that that's why we all feel this way. Why it's like, okay, you know what? You don't care about us. We don't care about you right back. Goes both ways.
Exactly. Moving on. Dalton and I, we were at, if you guys can see this right here, this little football right here. Last night, shout out to Chesapeake Inn. They had an event for BJ Harris. Not really sure the story, but it was a fundraiser for kids going to school who can't afford school, and they hosted it at Chesapeake Inn last night. So we had the honor to go there last night. We'll send out a thank you video to the players because last night Brandon Graham and Nakobe Dean showed up. I mean, Darius Slay was supposed to be there and Nolan Smith were, but they ended up not showing up. So it was a great night. I mean, if you guys are local, ever been to Chesapeake Inn, you know what it looks like. We're telling you, Dalton and I got to Chesapeake City right around probably 4:50-ish, thinking that, we'll have time to find a parking spot, go in and without any issue. And then we waited in my car until like 5:50-ish to go inside, and holy shit, that line was wrapped around the building, and it was a really good event. So, Dalton, let's talk about that event.
Yeah, I mean, awesome event. So it was the 12th annual scholarship fundraiser, and it was awesome. So there was fun. There was games. They had, like Jack mentioned, a line out the door, drinks, food. The food was fantastic. It was a surf and turf dinner. And then the salad was really good too. I forget exactly what it was called, but it was like a black cherry type of salad. And you guys can ask Jack. I never really eat salad, number one. Number two, I don't really eat spinach salad. And I ate the whole plate. It had like these, it's probably because it had pecans.
It had craisins too. Yeah, it was good.
Had to think about how I wanted to say it. Pecans or pecans?
I say pecans.
Pecans is how I say it. So I liked it because it had pecans. They were buttered pecans or whatever. They were like the candied pecans.
The sugar ones, yeah.
Yeah. So my grandma used to make them. So that was probably why I was all sentimental about it. But I was like, man, this is really good. Like when a salad has them, I think it makes it that much better. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the event. Like Jack mentioned, it was for an awesome cause. It was a shame that Slay and Smith couldn't make it. But I'll say BG and Nakobe Dean represented really well. I was watching them throughout the line, and every person they made sure to slow down, to talk with, to give their time, to give their moment. And that's not always easy, especially with what those guys are doing right now. I mean, I'm sure with the Super Bowl run and everything, they're busy every day of the week and then some. There's probably no weekends right now. So all respect to them.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to talk about it, shout out to Nolan, 302 Birds, Nolan Lassard. Me, Dalton, and him, we made a pump up video. So after, everyone walked through, I mean, we were in line near 2.5 hours. I would think it would be 2.5 hours.
Now, the cool thing is I will give Chesapeake Inn credit. They had the best system that you can have for waiting in line. I've never waited in a line like this. And what they did was they had waitresses and waiters, number one, serving food and hors d'oeuvres as you were in line so you could try the food and stuff. Food was fantastic. But drinks, so you could drink while you were in line and you could hang out and, run to the bathroom. Your buddy could save your spot for you. You were all good. And, there was a silent auction that you would pass by, but it wasn't a boring line at all. We met people like that one guy that was in front of us you met. He was awesome too, who had the rugby experience. So that was really cool.
Yeah.
Just a great event and a great time. But credit to Chesapeake Inn and the Marticelli restaurant group, because the waitress, I guess, said that was the first time they ever tried serving drinks like that in line, and it was awesome.
It kicked ass for sure.
Yeah.
So we were, I guess, kind of honored as 302 Birds, because our buddy, our partner on the podcast, Nolan Lassard, and Dalton and I, we made a pump up video for them, and it was played after everyone walked through the line, talked to Brandon Graham, Nolan Smith, got pictures, got signed balls and things like that. So we made a pump up video. It was badass, and it was like, I felt like a famous person, because we walked in and the lady that was checking us in was like, "Oh yeah, that's a badass video." And then hearing the crowd erupt like they did after the video was played or during the video was played, that just really is like, holy shit, like this is real. Like people are actually cheering us on and, appreciating what we do. And again, all credit goes to Nolan. He kicked ass on that video, and he, we really do appreciate you, buddy, for sure. Moving on up. I mean, we talked about we're going to go to the draft combine this year, but unfortunately we couldn't make it. We'll go.
Shout out to Joe Donahue for putting in the application for that.
We'll be there next year. At 6/24, March 8th, 2025. I'm saying right now we will be at the combine next year. So speaking about drafts, there's a big name that has been thrown around throughout all offseason, all regular season in college football last year, and that is Shedeur Sanders. And he was projected to be number 3 or in the top 5 picks overall, right, this year, for a quarterback position, right? But one thing that, and Dalton, you can hit on this more because I don't really know the details of it, but where we think Shedeur Sanders' draft stock is going to be dropping. I personally, Dalton, you can go in detail after I'm done talking. I personally think Shedeur Sanders is not going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. I have this logic that any good quarterback, or at a big school like Colorado or Alabama, they may work out in the first 3 seasons in the NFL, but after that they just kind of fall and no one really hears from them. Like AJ McCarron, he was at Alabama. I think he's in the UFL now, in the spring football league. So, but yeah, the draft stock of Shedeur Sanders, project 3 overall. We think that's going to be dropping. And Dalton, I want you to hit on that. And why do you think so?
I definitely do. Because if you look at that video with Shedeur Sanders, there's a interview that he did, and NFL teams are saying that he is not really engaged with them in the meeting. He's not seeming like he wants to be there. He doesn't seem like he cares all that much, and he just seems kind of like lackadaisical. And that could be because the rumor is that the Giants are going to take him, I believe, at pick 3. Yeah, at pick 3 overall. That's what he's been told. That's what the rumor is. That's what we've been told. So the common knowledge is that Shedeur Sanders will be a New York Giant, which is going to be insane. That's going to mean that the NFC East is going to be loaded if that's the case. You would think. I don't think that Shedeur will last long in the NFL at the moment unless he can fix his accountability problem. Because in the interview that he did with someone, he said that he lost his phone, number one, which it's like, okay, fine. I lose things. I lose my credit card all the time. I'm not proud of it, but it happens. I'm not perfect. But I don't blame that on my mom when I lose my card. I have my own home. I have my own life. I have my own things going on. And I'm sure he does too with, the caliber player that he is. And, well, I guess he wasn't staying at his own home if he did, because he said that his mom could not find his phone. And that was the first thing that he said in the interview. And it's like, dude, if you're an NFL scout, you're not going to want to hear, yeah, my mom couldn't find like, I would be like, yeah, you know what? Is your mom going to be there on Sunday to help you with the playbook too? I thought so. So I think it's going to really hurt his draft stock more than he thinks. And you could see the Giants potentially passing on him. Like if Abdul Carter's there and I'm the Giants, I don't see any reason why I wouldn't try to take him. And that's my own personal opinion. I want him for the Eagles, but like it's time to stop being stupid, Giants. I mean, it's not time to stop being stupid. I want you guys to still continue to be stupid. Please. Please. But what I'm saying is it's time for you guys to start making more independent, smart, dedicated decisions if you want to change the trajectory of your team. Because the fact that you guys could be taking Shadur at 3, I think would just be the next stupid pick for you guys. Not as stupid as Daniel Jones, but it could be a wash for you.
Yeah, and I think, Shedeur Sanders has had this big, his last name's Sanders, and his dad was a elite player in the NFL. So he's had this kind of fire behind him, pushing him to be, so good or whatever. But like I said, I truly don't think that he is going to be a good quarterback. I think Jackson Dart from Ole Miss is going to be a great pick. He's from not a smaller school, but he's from a school that doesn't really produce that many quarterbacks. And my logic is that quarterbacks that come from not as known or big name team, like big game teams like Ole Miss or Michigan State, all those schools, they produce really good NFL ready quarterbacks. And I just truly think, and Dalton may disagree with me here, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is going to be good, or I don't think Travis Hunter is going to be good. I think Travis Hunter is going to be a bust. He may have a great rookie breakout season, but I truly think that that's that fire behind him. Sauce Gardner-Johnson, we saw his rookie season kind of go off, and then what has he done now? Or what has he done since then? So I think Travis Hunter is going to have a good rookie year and then kind of drop in the rankings and not be a big player at all. So that's kind of where my head's at for that.
That makes sense. You're valid totally to think that. I think with me, the biggest thing is I don't see Travis Hunter, number one, playing both sides of the ball. I'll say that. There's no shot in hell. That would just be stupid for an NFL team to have a guy play both sides because injury. And especially if you're good. Like, the only reason I could see you playing both sides of the ball is like when teams would put a second string guy or like an old defensive tackle in at fullback where it's like, all right, fuck it. This is probably not going to have an injury. We're good. If you're a good player, like playing at safety or wide out, you're not going in on both sides of the ball. The only chance you have of that would be like, okay, it's a Hail Mary at the end of the game. Bill Belichick puts Gronk out there on the last play of the game just for depth, something like that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to be starting on both sides of the ball. As far as like bust goes, I don't know about Travis Hunter. I think Travis Hunter definitely has a better chance of not being a bust than Shedeur because he won the Heisman, number one. But number two, I just think he's more accountable. Like, he isn't afraid to take accountability when he's wrong. And we've seen that with him. Shedeur is. Like, the other thing I wanted to bring up is his phone. You remember earlier in the season when he had a mistake in that one game, he blamed it on his offensive line. Like, his offense, that's the quickest way to piss off your offensive line and to get them not to block for you is to throw them under the bus post game. And I didn't even play football, and I know that. So it's like, dude, you don't understand that, and you're claiming to be a guy that's capable of going third overall in the pick. You don't have accountability with your mom. You're saying you're losing your second phone. No, I don't want him if I'm an NFL GM.
Yeah, we'll see what happens not March Madness on draft day. See who goes where and things of that nature. So now being the month of March, we have March Madness Decision Sunday coming up. Not this upcoming Sunday, next Sunday. So I'm not really sure. I watched a few games this year. Not really sure he's going to be good, but who do you think, or who would you? Actually, let's look it up first.
I was going to say Duke has to be up there off the top of the dome because Cooper Flagg and, where he's projected to go in the draft. I just know a lot of Sixers fans are talking about him. So I would think that Duke has got to be a pretty high seed. I'm trying to see if we can find some bracketology for you guys. It would have been awesome if my alma mater, St. Joe's, could have made it in. So, yeah, Duke looks like they're going to be a number one seed along with Auburn, Houston, and Florida, it looks like. And then I guess that number two seeds are going to be Tennessee, Michigan, Alabama, Texas Tech. The number 3 seed. Shout out to Jay Hollahan, who came on 302 Birds this past week. He's got to be excited as hell. St. John's University, a number 3 seed, it looks like, at 26-4, which is exceptional. So that's exciting. I'll say this. Looking at these teams, I'm definitely going to take Duke, but I wouldn't be upset taking Tennessee either. I could see it being Tennessee's year. I have a good feeling about Tennessee this year.
Yeah, I mean, Duke's always especially with, like you said, Dalton, with Cooper Flagg on the team, they're kind of projected to be a good team this year. But I truly think we're going to see this year a, number 7 seed team win. I think, or even honestly, shout out to Josh Zepp, Maryland. They're number 4 out of the Seattle region. So I watched a few games with Josh this year, and they're a really, really good team. And they've been in March Madness a few years in the past, but I think they can be legit this year. I mean, St. John's, they've had some tough loss. They lost to Maryland, or they lost to Villanova, and Villanova they weren't good this year at all. So St. John's losing to Villanova was a big loss. So we'll see what happens. But if I had to pick a Final Four, I'll go Florida. I'll go Houston. So those are 2 1 seeds. Then I'll go UConn. UConn's the defending champ. And then I'll go give me Louisville. And I think it's going to be Louisville winning it all this year. So we'll see what happens coming up. Yeah, I mean, there's other things we're going to talk about. I mean, it's been in the news about the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James.
Give me 1 sec. Sorry. I want to fix this. If we say anything else, I heard it behind us. Sorry.
You're good.
Okay. I can always crop that
3
seconds out. I just want it to look good if you say something. All right. You're good now. Restart it.
Yeah. So I didn't want to talk about it, but just, talk about it because I think it's something that people that's kind of on the forefront of their mind right now is the Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James kind of little argument they had after the game. I think it was Thursday.
Hissy fit.
Yeah, I think it was Thursday. And from what I heard from Stephen A.'s side of the story, LeBron was just screaming, "Don't talk about my son like that. Don't talk about my son like that." I guess Stephen A. in the media on his shows, he has talked bad about Bronny James, which I agree with, because Bronny James, if his dad wasn't LeBron James, he would not be in the NBA. I mean, he played half a season at USC last year, and, he had that injury with his heart or whatever. But other than that, I don't think he's going to be I think he's going to be a bust. And once his dad retires, I don't think he's going to do much. I think he's going to stick in the G League, sadly. And then once his brother comes along, Bryce, I think Bryce is going to be the better basketball player. He's always been the better basketball player from the highlights I've seen. So not really sure what was all said, but I think it's a little, what was actually said on the sideline?
Yeah, I think that LeBron is personally in the wrong. Here's the thing. When your son gets to the NBA, he's fair game for any reporter to say anything. You got to know, that's like us with podcasting. When I upload a video to Instagram, it took me a couple years to learn it. I've had people say pretty hurtful shit to me. Somebody commented on my last video, "How about this? ... Fuck your mother." That was literally what they commented. So I've had to develop an acceptance and a learning of, okay, when I'm uploading a video on a social media platform, expressing a thought, expressing knowledge, expressing how I feel, there's going to be that chance for blowback. And LeBron needs to accept and understand that as a father of an NBA player, he is now subject, and rightfully so, to everything that you are. Everything that it means to be an NBA player, those tough questions, being held accountable by your teammates, all the parts that suck about the job. You shouldn't be able to get out of them just because your dad's LeBron James. And Stephen A. Smith maybe was overstepping. I will say reporters, podcasters, we do it. We overstep. Dennis, shout out to our boy, talking with Reed Blankenship, as he says, all the time. I don't even know if I said it right. I can't say it right because I can't talk smack on Reed after he won us a Super Bowl. But there's always that. And you just got to know that as LeBron James. Like, that's what people like us get paid to do. It's annoying, but you're a part of the player, and anyone in the media can say anything. And I actually thought Stephen A. Smith handled it really well. Like, he took accountability for it on his show. He addressed it when it went viral. And if anything, I give him credit because I think he handled it extremely well.
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's his job. I mean, he's good at what he does, and that's just kind of his character. He's that loud reporter, that loud guy on TV that always has an opinion on something. So that's what he does. That's what he gets paid. Sorry, he doesn't get paid millions and millions of dollars to dribble a ball and shoot it in a hoop and, bitch about getting tapped or fall on the ground like LeBron does. So I think he was in the right. I mean, maybe he took it too far. I don't think so. I personally like Stephen A. Smith and him giving that kind of grit, I guess, that pushback, because everyone thinks LeBron James is untouchable. But Stephen A. is like, nah, who he's really not. Like, I am who I am, and I will put you in your spot. And that's why Stephen A. is good at what he does, for sure.
Yeah.
So spring season is kind of on the eye right now for baseball. What do we expect this year about the Phillies?
So for me, the biggest expectation for the Phillies is going to be, I'm not going to have an expectation, I'll say, until they get to the NLCS, until they get to the National League Championship Series, until they get to basically the semifinals. I'm not going to be really caring, getting concerned, getting upset up or down, because this past year I got so excited as a fan. I can't do it again, man. I can't. It really hurt this past October when we were let down. And that's why I'm so happy that the Eagles got the job done, because we really needed it. But that was actually in the top 3 moments I've ever seen Tom that sad.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people were, because that was one of the first times our Phillies kind of had a bye week. And I mean, personally, I think bye weeks are needed, but especially in baseball, going into that bye week, they had a pretty hot streak with their bats hitting every ball pretty much. And then we play the Mets and our bats just go dry or go cold. So, yeah, I mean, they had so much high expectations last year's team. And, they were brutally, upset, and they were affected by it because they expected a lot of this team and they just couldn't get it done. And we have Bryce Harper, we have not Trey Young. Wow, that's a basketball player. Trey Turner, sorry. So this team and we didn't really do much in the offseason. So that could be a good thing, could be a bad thing. I personally think it's gonna be a good thing, and we'll see what this team can do. I know they have the grit with Bryce Harper getting I think Bryce Harper will bring the Phillies a pennant within the next year or two.
I hope so, because Shardy sent it in the Phillies group chat today, and it was something along the lines of, I guess it was Bryce Harper getting upset with people bringing up the 2008 team so much. And he's like, stop bringing it up. And Jimmy Rollins said, well, if you win a championship, we'll stop bringing it up. And that's a great response. I mean, it's true, because it's like, if you get the job done, we're not going to have shit to say. We're just going to be there celebrating. Like, you look at Eagles fans basically got a fat pacifier in the mouth for the offseason. We don't even know what to do with ourselves now. There's no complaining. There's nothing to complain about. We really don't know what to do with ourselves. And if you do that twice to Philadelphia fans in the same season, like, imagine the young Philly fan out there that's a freshman in college or not a freshman in college, it's a junior in college, right? 21 years old, just placed the first ever sports bet and did the all-time Philly parlay, where he probably stacked all the Philly teams to win a championship. That might be looking pretty good right now. Not bad, but not good.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, they, I guess they expect a lot of this team this year. Speaking about Philadelphia sports, we'll have two more conversations. We just saw the Eagles win the Super Bowl, right? This is kind of like an ongoing conversation we have on the main podcast. What team in Philadelphia do you think will win another championship?
Oh, who's next?
Yeah, who's next?
I will say the hot take right now in March. I'll go against the grain and go against my gut and say that I think that the Philadelphia Phillies are going to be the next team to win a championship. I think that they just kind of watch what the Eagles did and they're going to be a little bit envious. So I think that this is going to be the Phillies' time. And I think come November, we could be celebrating another championship. If it's not the Phillies, it's got to be the Eagles, right?
Yeah, I think kind of all roads lead to Philadelphia Phillies winning the pennant. The Flyers are still kind of in a remake or a rebuild year. I had a hot take about 2 weeks ago that
Wait, one sec. Didn't we both just say we don't doubt the Phillies and we both have no expectations for them this year, but now we're both saying that we think that they're going to win it?
Yeah, I mean,
that's Philadelphia fandom for you guys. It's like a drug. It's terrible.
No, it really is. It's definitely because, like I said, the Flyers are on a rebuild. They probably won't touch anywhere near the Stanley Cup until I made a hot take saying in the next 3 years. So we'll see if that happens. The Sixers, they're gonna hear me out. The Flyers will win the Stanley Cup before the Sixers win an NBA title. That's just kind of what I believe in because, again, this Sixers team hasn't really been promising to us. And we thought we had it, when we started the process. We got Embiid. We got Okafor, who was a bust. We got Jimmy Butler. We had all these great players, and we couldn't really do much about it. So we'll see what happens. But, yeah, I guess the easiest answer is the Phillies. The hardest answer is probably the Sixers. And I think it's going to go Phillies, Eagles, Flyers, Sixers. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, I like that order, and I can see why you would doubt the Sixers. I can see why anybody would doubt the Sixers. They're just such a doubtable team. Can we get to the question of the night too?
Yeah. So, guys, you know who I am. You see me on 302 Birds. I always have a trivia, which we haven't done this year, which we need to do.
We'll bring it back. Yep.
We'll bring it back this year. But for first ever Jackson Hour, the question of the night is, are aliens real or are they fake? Dalton?
Yes, they're definitely real. I saw a stat the other day, just like because space is so interesting. You guys see, we got the Star Wars right here for Flying Zeppelin down in the 302 podcast here. We got the Stormtrooper down there. But it was something like in the 70s or in the 60s, our knowledge of the galaxy and the universe was about 100,000 light years. Now it's like 100 billion or something ridiculous like that. So it's like just such a bigger amount. Night and day difference. And when you think about that, the possibilities are endless. There definitely have got to be aliens somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, there's all these different structures that, we see today, like Stonehenge. That's a perfect example. The Great Pyramids of Giza. I mean, back when those were built, whenever they were built, there is no way in hell that technology, that old technology could put a ton, like each of those like squares in the Pyramid of Giza, Great Pyramid of Giza, each of them weighed like a ton. So
yeah.
They didn't have like excavators or anything like that where they can just grab it and place it. So as it goes, they would get logs and they would drag them on rope, which they had to be really strong rope to place them. But I mean, just like the different things, like they had, electron, whatever. Like they found a way where that water can cause electricity back in the pyramid. Like this is like one of the things in the pyramid. So it had to be something because those are not I think, are not man-made. Same goes for Stonehenge. One of the shows that I've been watching is called Expedition Unknown, and they were talking about Stonehenge, and those those stones are pretty heavy. So back then, back in 5,000 years ago, there was no way in hell we had technology or anything like that that could place those heavy stones the way they placed it. So I do agree with you that I think aliens are real.
Yeah, they gotta be. The way that this Earth got here, the way that we are, um, the way that there are patterns and just certain things, they definitely exist. I'm with you, dude. I don't know all the answers, but I just have a feeling that like there used to be more here than was here. And that could be what we're starting to discover, like with Egypt and the electricity and water and vibration and sound and all that and creating energy off of it. It's freaking nuts. So either I think civilization used to be way more advanced than we were led on to be. And what we had been educated on was wrong, which is a possibility. Or like Jack said, like that stuff didn't get there without technology. So either we were really advanced and they're not teaching you that, or something else came and helped us. Or maybe both are right. Like maybe it's a combination of the two. Probably. If aliens were there, we probably were advanced, chances are, before too.
And whatever happens at Area 51.
That's
classified.
nuts.
It's classified stuff. And I'm sure there's pieces of alien spacecrafts or aliens that have been there for years. So yeah, it's an interesting conversation to have, and yeah, it's that's kind of like what the buzz is now in media is aliens are real because they release that law where talk about UAPs and things like that. So there has to be something out there that we don't know about that are just watching us do every little thing that we're doing right now.
And hopefully that gets released soon. I know that was something that Trump mentioned that he wanted to get enacted. And, the drones were something really prevalent in December that was freaking people out. There were drones here in Delaware where I'm at. And that stuff is freaky too. I think that those drones are probably man-made because if they were alien drones, the government would be freaking out. We would know if the government was freaking out. But it just feels like sometimes we're not led on with everything that we could know. And yeah, I definitely think that there's some sort of other live streams. There's time travel. Going to Mars is just going to be the start. I actually heard a theory that humans originated from Mars and then depleted that planet. And then they came to Earth because they needed another planet. And now look where that's headed. So not in a good direction.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens within the next couple of years, what they release and what they don't release. But I think that concludes our first ever Jackson Hour. If you guys are watching this, please leave in the comments below different topics you want us to talk about. Like I said, Dalton and I are adults now, so if you want some advice on what to do with your life at this point, let us know. We'll try to be the best kind of soundboard for you. But we'll have another episode. I'm not sure who I'll bring on. Maybe I'll bring on Josh or someone like that. And start with the friend group first and then kind of expand out. So yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna do my normal thing. Hit the fucking outro. I appreciate
the one thing I want to say too, and you can really say it, is Tick Pick and Nick's Pizza.
Yeah, we really do appreciate this. This is powered by Tick Pick and Nick's Pizza. Tick Pick, if you are, again, we got basketball season, which no one really goes to a Sixers game, but we got the Phillies.
March Madness.
Yeah, but
it's not coming to Philly this year?
There's one in Jersey this year.
Okay.
So I'm not sure what part of Jersey, but I know there's a tournament happening there. So, but with the Phillies coming in, starting, I think they start,
3 weeks-ish.
Oh, really?
3 weeks-ish, yeah.
Okay. 3 weeks-ish.
Yeah, March 31st.
Okay. So that's open. Oh, because you're going to open day.
Yep.
Yeah, so use Tick Pick. No fees at all. Whatever you purchase is what it is. There's no extra fees. Nick's Pizza. Dalton will be there Wednesday night. So I'll be running the podcast on Wednesday. But Nick's Pizza has opened up another store. They have great pizza. So please make sure if you're in and around Delaware, stop by Nick's Pizza in Wilmington. And please use Tick Pick. And we really do appreciate you guys being on here. with us and powering this podcast. So out there to the viewers, please let me know what you want me to talk about more in depth, and I will make sure I talk about that. So without further ado, this concludes the first ever adult Jackson Hour. I appreciate it. Dalton, thanks again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Have a good one.